Hi friends, welcome to this screencast. I am Pallav and today we will be discussing about Quarkus. Quarkus is a new disruptive framework in Java world, or I should say in cloud space of Java. We already have been working with Java from a long time, and in cloud Spring Boot is a quite known name. So if you are a Java Spring developer, then you would have been familiar with how Spring works in basically into a cloud-based environment. Today, we will be looking at a newer framework which is being developed by a very good system, which is very good company called which is Red Hat, and it is actually disruptive. Why I am telling it is disruptive? Because it is trying to change the paradigm entirely, and we will see that just in a moment. So if you have been working with Java, you would be knowing that Java is a 25-year-old language. So recently Java completed its 25th birthday. So if you know that when Java was traditionally written, there was not, cloud was not actually in picture. And at that time, memory and faster startup time was not a major issue. That time, what was the major issue? That once you write a software, it has to be built for different machines. So Java has an advantage at that particular point of time that you write it once, and at that point of time, once you write, it runs on any different machines. Also at that point of time, you had different kind of bigger machines where there was no problem of hardware. So you had your servers with you, so you could run such things with Java. But when cloud came into picture, things have changed a bit. You are not charged based on the memory uses. You are now charged with the amount of the memory and the resources that you consume for any cloud. In that aspect, because Java being a traditional framework and JVM running to run any Java program, it becomes difficult to run even a smaller program with a lesser memory. So even if you are starting just to print your name, it takes a lot because JVM has to be there. JVM was good once you were trying to build a system where you would write once and it will run for a longer time. But now, as the time has passed, with cloud you require something which starts very quickly and which basically takes less time to not only to start up but consumes lesser memory, right? So in that aspect, Java has been lagging and newer languages have been catching up. But one good thing with Java is that it is having a community which always remanifests Java every time there is a problem. And if you are a Spring developer, you had worked with Spring for a long time. Spring is a fantastic framework and it provides you a lot of flexibility. But there is another problem with Spring, which is reflections. So reflections are slow because it has at the runtime, it has to find things. So what now Quarkus and other frameworks, one of the other framework which is also working in this space, and I would like to mention its name, is Micronaut. And basically these frameworks, what they are trying to do is trying to reduce the memory consumption and also the startup time. So with reflections, because reflection makes your code slower, these frameworks try to compile things at the compile time and execute your code. So before I go any further, let me tell you who am I. So I am Pallav and I have around 10 years of experience with Java, Spring and microservices based frameworks. And if you would like to learn Spring and microservices, there is a bit.ly link which I have given in this particular slide. You can go there and find a course on Spring and Spring Boot which has over around 8,000 people. And there I am actually trying to talk on to the Spring things. And I also have a free course on reactive Java. And the bit.ly link is also here. So bit.ly link is rx_java2. So if you want to learn about reactive Java, you can go there. Anytime, if you want to contact me, you can contact at @codingsent on Twitter. And this particular handle I only maintain for writing my technical knowledge and stuffs. And I do have an email ID as kp_codingscene.com. So if you want to have anything and discuss something about this particular session or anything in general, you can write me a mail. So let's start what Quarkus is, because I have already given a fair bit of introduction about Quarkus. Let's see what this talk today that we are going to cover today. So today we will be covering about Quarkus. Then we will try to create a project using Quarkus Maven plugin. So Quarkus Maven plugin is an excellent tool which you can actually use and create a new project using Quarkus. There are other tools, there are other things which you can actually use to basically create a project with Quarkus. One of the very famous way, if you like a web-based creation of the project, you can go to http code.quarkus.io. So you can actually code from that way also. Apart from that, then what we will be doing, because we'll just create a demo project which will only have a web module attached to it. Then we will just add a dependency using Maven plugin. As I'm telling that, I mean, you just want to show you the Maven plugin and how it works. That's why I am doing it. Otherwise, you can directly write into your pom.xml also. And if you just search for Quarkus plugins, and I mean, basically you will get all the list of them. So what I mean by these plugins, like for example, right now you want to have a MongoDB, because we are dealing with in this particular session with MongoDB, Hibernate, all those dependencies, you can use either plugin or directly you can add at Maven pom.xml. That's your way. But today we will be seeing how this plugin works. Then we will be connecting it MongoDB and performing the CRUD operations. We'll also learn about Hibernate Panache. So Panache is nothing but a new approach to Hibernate which has been developed by Quarkus, which basically in your VO will becomes more powerful. VO means here value objects, or I should say what earlier we were using, there is still a way where you can use your repository class with a traditional Spring framework knowledge. You would have been doing it, but today we will see it using a VO. So how Hibernate Panache works, we will come to Hibernate Panache once we start doing it. We will also do some validation using Jack's RSS specification, and then we will be building a native image. This native image is the focus of today's talk. Building a native image in Quarkus takes time, and this is something because the Graal VM is involved into it. So now what is Graal VM? That also we will look. But this native image will take a lot of time. So what I'll do, I will just show you the commands how you can build a native image onto your system, and I will show you how this native image is faster and less memory consuming than a traditional jar model. Okay, so let's start with coding and learning more about Quarkus. Okay, so what Quarkus is, as we already have discussed a lot about it, this is what Quarkus projects itself. Quarkus says that it is a full stack Kubernetes native Java framework. So if you are actually writing cloud native applications and you are very specific that your cloud native things are running on Kubernetes stack, Quarkus fits excellently into this particular thing. And we will see that all, I mean, you can actually learn about a lot of it. I mean, after this particular session, I will try to connect more and more sessions so that we can dive deep into Quarkus. But today's our focus will be basically introducing you to this Quarkus framework. Okay, so for this particular session, I have a JDK installed onto my system. I have a Maven 3.6 installed, and remember when I say Maven 3.6, with 3.5 I have found that Quarkus doesn't work well. Basically Graal VM is not accepting to create a native images, so it is important that you have a Maven 3.6.x and then or a higher version of Maven. Yes, you can use another way, which you can use a Gradle also, but currently in this session we will be doing it via Maven. Now Graal VM. So Graal VM is also installed here. Graal VM is a polyglot programming model for those who actually you can write different JVM languages, and Graal VM and even other languages I believe, where Graal VM can actually come into picture and can compile your codes using GraalVM. GraalVM is important because Quarkus uses it, and I mean Micronaut and other frameworks are using GraalVM to create native images. But Quarkus is not faster only because of GraalVM. Quarkus has an argumentation which it does so that it creates the different parameters which is required for GraalVM to create a native image. I've also installed a Docker here, but we will see. I don't think that is a part of today's talk. We will not be creating a Docker images or anything, but I'll tell you how you can create a Docker native image using your Maven plugin, and that also you can learn today. If you want to go and find the entire session, you can go to bit.ly/Quarkus demo. Cutting long stories and everything short. Now let's start and dive deep into code. So let's start creating a Quarkus project. So this is the Maven command which we will be using. So if I just want you to focus here so that we can actually understand what we are doing. So here you can see Maven is using a Quarkus plugin, and using that we are creating with Maven 1.2.0. Currently, I think last week I saw 1.2.1 coming out, but this is the command which you can actually use to create a Quarkus project and say create. This is nothing but the link. This is where you are telling what is the project group ID will be, then the artifact ID, and you just want to create a sample controller which we are calling here user resource, and creating a path like user. So we will be creating a user project here, user management kind of project, and then we will be building the entire application. So let's just start building a Quarkus project using Maven plugin. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll also open the link that I showed you so that I can copy it directly and run it for faster executions. So I'll just take that. You can go to the link which is here, and then what we'll do, we'll just copy this command. If you want to install all those softwares and anything, you can find the entire link here onto this particular link which I'm showing, or you can go to codingscene.com, and you also have it here. You can go and start it. Okay, so we'll go and pick the Maven command which we are telling. These are the steps to install all these technologies which you can use for Quarkus. Okay, so we'll just take this and we'll go to terminal, and we will paste the command and see this Quarkus doing the magic. So now what Quarkus will do, this will create a project with Quarkus for us. Okay. In the meantime, because I'll also show you that how to start it. So let's go back to our slide till it builds. Okay, so this has finished building the entire project for us. So we will just go inside this project, and we can start this project right now. So to start this project, we'll add this particular step of adding dependencies using Quarkus. But to start this, you can only say mvn Quarkus and :dev. So let's type this and see that it works. Quarkus projects itself as developer joy. So if you see, run demo as developer's joy. So what kind of joy is there when you are actually trying to build a Quarkus project? We'll see that right now. But in the meantime, let me start IDE to load this particular project. I'll go into this directory. Okay, let me go. So I'm opening this particular user service with ID, which is IntelliJ in this particular case. So we'll code using IntelliJ. There are excellent plugins for Quarkus, which you can find at IntelliJ plugins. And if you're using Visual Studio, you can also find plugins for Quarkus at Visual Studio. I think for Eclipse, they are going to release plugins soon, but you can actually check that do you have a Quarkus plugin for Eclipse or not. Okay, so this will load our project, and in the meantime Quarkus has already built and started this particular project. So you saw how easy it is to create a new project and start here with Quarkus, and you can actually notice something here. So this is telling that it is install feature with CDI and REST easy. So this has just given us two dependencies. One is CDI and another is REST easy. Okay, so REST easy for our REST thing, and the dependencies for that it is CDI. So I'll just close this guy now. Okay, so this will load the project, and I'm having a Intel AMD A9 7th generation computer, so it is a bit slow. It is having only 2 cores. So the things are a bit slower on my machine, but if you do it on your machine and if you have got a better configuration, I'm pretty sure it will be blazing fast. Okay, so the project has got loaded. It is resolving dependencies here. So see what actually localhost 8080 brings for us, right? So we'll just do a localhost 8080. So this is the home page of Quarkus. So this comes with this particular page where it says that, okay, congratulations, your cloud native application is ready, and what more things you can do basically. And because we said that we have started with one user resource with a user, so this is telling you hello. And as I said, it is a developer's choice. So if you go to this project, you will go here and see there's a main class. As a developer, you would have been, this is very interesting. I really like this feature of Quarkus. So here you see there's a hello return. It is returning hello, and here there is nothing. It is just waiting for because we have started the application and it is running via this terminal. So what I'll do, I'll just change the values here. Okay, so I will say hello YouTube and save it. So if you have been working with Spring or anything, the time you save it, the entire application gets hot replacement of the code starts happening, and then and it restart the server basically. So in the entire process, if you would have done that, say there are 5 different files that you have to change, and each time you save, you will find it, it loading, it keeps loading, and that makes your application a bit, that doesn't give you a very nice feeling. That is not the joy that you want. So what Quarkus has done, it will not do any loading until and unless there is a link coming in. That means if I reload this, it will hit to the controller, right? The time it hits to the controller, it knows that it keeps the incremental changes. So it knows that, okay, now the hit has came, so I need to do a reload. So for example, I did that. And now if you go back and see this particular thing, so console is telling that, okay, I have a new thing, something has came, a link has came, and the code is changed. So it is trying to rebuild the entire thing, and the hot replace has been done at the time once a link actually is hitting. So this is very good. This is a very interesting feature, and I love it. And you will, if you have been from programming background and basically with Java space, this is something that you would always wished, right? Because if you are from say a front-end developer, so this is something which was available to you every time, right? So you are changing the code and you can directly do a refresh and everything works. But with Java, really, so it is working with Java, so it is really great. So still, it was available with Spring. You can do a live reload, and just you have to add the dev tool. But yes, the time you press save, every time it will do a hot replace. And at that time, if your server is running, it is a bit of pain, because there could be incremental changes. I'm not telling Spring is bad, and I'm pretty sure Spring will come up with something like this, or I believe, and they should be coming. But anyway, so this is what Quarkus Dev Framework does. So now we'll go back to the slide and we'll see what we were discussing. So I don't want to miss anything, so that's why I'm actually going back to the slide. So we were actually trying to add dependencies using Maven plugin, right? So here we will be using a Hibernate validator, MongoDB Panache, and REST JSON-B. So why we are using this? Because we want to show you validation. We want to actually create a connection to the database, and then I want to write some code, and I want to show you working the entire application with database and everything live. And I also want to show you how fast is it. This is what many of us as a developer are doing for a living, right? So we are connecting to the database. We are and then fetching the values from backend with any data source or something, and that is what we do. So let's see how we actually can leverage this with Quarkus and with super fast Quarkus and easily. So and I also want to add just one thing. So we will be seeing Panache, which is a very good feature from Quarkus, which I really like about Quarkus, that it has given me a new added advantage of Hibernate with Panache. So let's see. Okay, so we'll run this command, and then we will see how this loads it. Okay. So if I just stop this particular, I will have to stop it right here, right? But this is a live reload. So I don't want to stop it. I'll go to the another terminal, or I'll just add one more terminal, and then I'll do a CD folder where I am actually having it. So user service, it is inside user service live. So okay, so what I'll do, I'll just paste whatever I have written, and the time there is a change because we are adding the new dependencies here. So what you will see, because it is actually trying to change something into user service project, right? So the time I change code here, and this build is success. Okay, so this build is success. Now Quarkus knows there is some change, right? So it is knowing that there is some change, it should be reloading the values. Okay, let's see if our localhost 8080 is working. Okay, it has stopped. It might be reloading. Okay, it got reloaded. So it has profile dev activated, live coding is activated, and now if you see features in feature list, Hibernate validator, MongoDB client, Mongo Panache, and all other things got added. So this is really interesting, isn't it? So we added the dependencies right with a code running. It did build, it restarted, and it has done everything so fast. Yes, it has already downloaded Maven dependencies on my system, so it could be a little slow on your system when you do it first time, and it actually takes everything from Maven Central to your local repository. But yes, it is actually fine that you do not have to do so many things with live reload, and it is absolutely joyful experience. If you see one more thing, because I have added, it has also, all those Mongo things are actually, you can see here, it has started writing. So before we go any further, let's try to create a connection with Mongo. So what you can do, you can go here and see to add, because I'm having a Quarkus plugin installed, so it will be really fast if I go in application properties and write. But I have already written here, so I'll take those configurations of Mongo from here. I'll just add these two lines, which is nothing but a very simple database connectivity line. So I'll go to application.properties. Okay, so I'm just saving it. Okay, so the first line here says that Quarkus connection string for Mongo and the second line is telling which database to use. So this is the connection string, and this is the database where we are trying to actually hit. So I already have a MongoDB running here, and to do users is already out there. So we will see how we can write more, we can perform the CRUD operations onto this particular database with Quarkus. So in order to do that, what we'll do, we'll create a new class. We'll call it user entity. Okay, so user entity is here. So if you go and see this particular slide also, what we will be doing, that we will create a user entity. So user entity, this is what we are going to write. So we will have something which I want to focus here is, we will create a Mongo entity and we will extend our class to Panache Mongo entity. Okay, so this will help us to added advantage of Panache to our user entity, and we will be using it via Mongo entity annotation. So we are just going and we'll do that. So this is Mongo entity. Okay, so let's extend it to Panache Mongo entity. Okay, so now we have done that. So we have done the major work. So just let's add the parameters for our user entity. We'll just create, say, user ID. And remember, this is not the Mongo ID which I'm talking. We are just creating a user ID which we will be using to see. I will show you why I have written it. We will use a custom Panache query over this user ID to find users with particular user ID. Then let me add a first name. Okay, so we have added few things here. Because we want to show you that it also gives you a very good validation, so let me add some JAX or JAX validation. So what we will do, JavaX validation I should say, not null. Okay, so first name must be entered. Then I'm writing the same thing here with last name. Okay. Okay, so date of birth is a bit big, so we will use Beeson property. Okay, we will say I don't want it to be saved as date of birth. Let's save it as DOB. This should be fine. Okay, so we are done. So why I have actually got this Panache and why actually we cannot do it without it. You can do it without this also, but I would like to show you what are the benefits that Panache gives to you. Before we go anywhere, let me add some getter and setter. I don't like adding getters and setters, and I would like to use record with Java 14, but let's see. For time being, let's add getters and setters. Okay, so this is done. So our entire user entity is done. So we have created this particular user entity. I'll just save it. And remember, we have never stopped our server, and I'm writing the code, okay, without any problem anyway. So now we have a user resource. We already have written user resource, right? So we'll just create few more get endpoints here. So let's start by getting all users which we have currently in database. I don't like this path like users, so let's make it users. Okay, let's create a method, call it add user, and let it return first response. Okay, we'll just do add users, and we will get users. Okay, so we'll do get users, and what we will get, we require it to be in a certain format, and let's add at produces media type application JSON. Okay, so it will produce you JSONs. So what you want list of users, so let's return them. So wait, I have not written any repository class. I have only used user class. So can I get users without writing a repository? Yes, we can, because we are using Hibernate Panache. So first thing I'll do, I'll just say return a response of OK with an object of users. Okay, sorry, user dot find all dot list. Okay, so now it will return me all the users which is currently present. Why it will return without writing any repository class? Because of the Panache thing that we are extending. I'll show you right in a moment. Okay, so let's build it. So if I go to this particular user class, and if I go to Panache Mongo entity, what you can see that it actually is extending to another Mongo Panache entity base. Sorry, Panache Mongo entity base. And then here you can see it is having all those good methods which you require. And it is having query method. We'll write one query also. For that purpose only I have written user ID. But let's see that how does it work. Okay, so this because of this factor, you can actually stop writing your repository classes. Though if you want, you can still write your repository classes. There are ways, but currently in today's lecture, we will only be focusing with Panache with this particular model. Okay, so I've written this. So I have done all the hard work, I believe. Okay, so let's give it this one also path, get path, and say we will get this at a path of all. When I type users all, I should get all the users. And our application is running. Yes, it is running. Anything we have changed? Nothing much actually. So we'll go back to user. Now it has become users because I just changed that. So hello YouTube is with users still, right? Because if you load it, everything gets loaded. So Quarkus has been stopped. Now it has been rebuilt and hot replace has been done. Now if I go back, hello YouTube is working. Okay, so you can see this. But user/all should give me all the users, and I already have a database with to-do data. So, but currently there is no data into it. So what do we need to do? We need to create an endpoint for post, and that's what we'll do. We'll just create an endpoint with post. Let me do that. I'll just copy this. Okay, I don't want to add something here. Let's add it quickly. Add a user, and don't add a user without a user. No, we require something here, right? So it doesn't only produce it. Let's write also consumes for it first. Okay, it is producing and consuming application JSON. Let me add one final at the rate valid, because I have written some validations. I would like to see some validation happening. User and user. Before I try to add this user, let me set that this is my active user, boolean dot true. So this user is active. Let me create a GUID for it. Set user ID. We'll use Java provides a good class for this, right? I think it is called UUID. Let's get this UUID to create a random unique ID for us. Okay, so it will create and then set it here. Now we need to save it, right? So we'll again use user, our entity, and say, okay, persist it. So what we are persisting? This user, so we'll just persist it. Now in this time, I don't want to send this particular okay. So what I'll do, I'll just say, I do this, not that I have to say list. Either you can do this or you can use created. Okay, but I just will be saying user.okay. Now with this particular thing, whatever we have written, let's see, can we actually add a user? So I'll go to Postman and we'll try to add a user. So this is with, if I go with a get. Okay, so let me do a get first. Get all is working. Because I have changed the code, so it will take a bit of a small time to do a hot replace, and that is what it is happening at the background. It did a hot replace and there is no user at this point of time. Because I have added this user, let's see. Okay, so method not allowed. Okay, so posts users, and then I'm doing a post. I think this should be allowed, right? So I have not written a post. Okay, so this is right. I have not written a post. So let me change this to post. I'm sorry. Now it is having. So let me hit it again. I again did a change of code. So it will wait for time to replace the code. And it is telling 200. Okay, that means it is creating a user, right? So if I do a get all, which is this, it should have one user. Oh, it is having one. So isn't that fantastic? That entire thing that we are doing, we are still keeping the server up. It is doing the hot replace only when I am trying to hit it. That's why the developer's joy is. Just I will, sorry for interruption. Just I will take a bit of water because, and then I'll start again. Just hold for a moment. Okay, now back again. So this is what it did. It did a live reload and everything, but we have not seen the main use of Quarkus, because this is what I wanted to show you with Panas entity. Okay, so we'll create one more get request where I would like to find user only by ID. Okay, so I'll just find it quickly. Let me add get user by user ID. Okay, so let's say user ID. So this is not something new, right? You will be thinking at this point of time that okay, so this has been happening for a long time in Spring also. But wait, I'll show you the most interesting part, that will be instant load of application with Quarkus, with that you never would have imagined that it can happen, and Java application running so quickly. But let me finish this first. Okay, so just wait for some moment. Okay, so this is what I am trying to do. I'm trying to add a path param, say it should be user ID, and it's a string, right? Say user ID. Now there are many things that you can do. You can add a query and search directly at user, but I would like to create a method here. Though you can, if you go here inside this Mongo entity and then inside this, there are so many different ways of creating a query and adding to a search. that you will love it. And remember, there are so many things that you can actually go and explore. I believe there is paginations and other things are also you can actually do with it. But let's see what I want to show you at this point of time is that I'll just create a small method here, a custom method to find user by user ID. Okay. Public user. Okay. Find by user ID. Okay. So this is a method which I'm trying to write a custom query. I want to show you how Panache entity enables you to use queries. So here what we will do, we will go and see how a custom query can be written with Panache. So I have what I'm trying to do, I'm finding user by user ID, and if the time I say return, okay, so if I say find, it is telling that okay, give me the query. So as you are seeing that I'm writing it inside user and I can directly use find. So I could have written it here also, but let me add it here to just to show for this demo purpose. So here I'm telling okay, find by user ID. So the query starts with user ID and the value for this is what I'm getting. So you can actually try to find by so many things here. Okay. So you can find by user ID, email, first name, last name. You can add all those things into this particular query and you can send it. And what I'm trying to do, I'm just doing a find result. So if you want to add more things, you can go and look at this Mongo base entity. I mean, there are different implementations for it, but for the now, I just wanted to show you this. So I'll use this method which I have created and I'll go back to our application and where we are trying to find this. So I'll take this user object and I just wanted to show you that we can write custom things into this user if I want, and I can say find by not find by ID. This is provided by directly by them, but I am writing find by user ID. Okay, so it's not showing. Might be I have created a private. No, it is public. Find by user ID. Let me save it and use this particular one. Okay. Okay, so this is not a static, so I'm really sorry. So I forgot to add a static here because we are trying to directly access it, right? So now it should be there. Okay. So this is the user ID. Oh, okay. This user by ID, I'll just pass it to response and send it. Okay, so now we are trying to find user by user ID. Once we have already written, so if I want to delete it, what I'll do, I'll just take this particular method and delete by user ID I can do, or I can write a delete, or I can do, I mean, there are so many things that you can do. But for now it is fine. We'll just see that if this endpoint is working. So this is the user which got created. So we'll just see that can we retrieve by this particular ID which it is creating with. This is the custom thing which we have created, and this is the Mongo one. Okay, hopefully it will work. Oh, it worked. That's great, right? So you can write your custom queries. You can do so many things with with Panache. And I forgot to show you validations, right? Because I have written some validations. So I'll just remove these two and then try to create one more user. And see, these validations are also working. So I said that, okay, first name must be entered, last name must be entered. So it is just writing you all those things. If I just write once more and say here last name. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so this new user got created. If I go back and search all users, okay, so this should have 2 users. So it is having 2 users. So this is the way actually entire things works with Quarkus. But now comes one of the most interesting thing. So what do you think the time it has taken to start this entire application? So I'll just close this. Okay, so I'll just quit it. And currently it is running in live mode. So that's why it would have taken some time. But let me first build it once more time. So as I said, Quarkus takes quite less time. Something which I'm doing here, you should not do in production. I'm skipping test, and I believe you should never skip your test in production. But right now I'm doing it just for the sake of the time, and the test will fail anyway because we changed user with with hello world, and we even changed the values. So I would like to show you. So once you actually create a project with Quarkus, it comes with test itself. This is something which I forgot to show you. So here, if you go here, so there is a UT test which is written for you, and you can also write a native test. Native test is not something I have explored till now, but yes, you can write user resource test. And if I just change it to, because we change this all value, right? To pass it, we will have to make it users, and then we will have to say that the value is user hello YouTube. That is what we changed. But anyway, at this point of time, this has worked. So I'll just see inside target folder what we have. Okay, so we have a runner jar. So this runner jar is a very small jar. Okay, so it is not a fat jar like other frameworks. So what it is trying to do, it will actually refer this jar all the class paths from lib. So it is an older approach. Rather than creating the fat jar, it is creating a small jar which is not having all the libraries. Why it does that show? Because Quarkus actually generates the entire once you actually try to run it, it will not be loading everything, right? So whatever it requires, it will only refer from this particular library, and this one will be very small. And always remember, with Quarkus frameworks like Quarkus, we try to avoid reflections. Reflection makes things slower. But anyway, let's run this jar, which is user service jar. Oops. Okay. Okay, I don't know why it is writing like this, but believe me, you will have to believe sometime that it was working. But anyway, okay, so there's a runner jar. Oh, I forgot, I am writing something wrong here. Okay, snapshot dash, there's a runner jar. This is what we should use. Okay, so let's see how much time does it work. It takes to start. So entire application on a machine which is very low end with today's world, that is AMD A9 7th generation processor with only 2 core. Yes, with 2 core, only 2 core. It took 5 seconds to start. And I have seen it is starting in less than a second with a better laptops. But I don't like this particular performance because it is taking 5 seconds. That is not what Quarkus is meant to do. So what we need to do, we need to build a native image. Okay, but let's see if it is working or not. Let me show you. So if I just try to do again, yes, it should be working. Yes, it is still working. So our work, the entire jar, it is working currently with the jar, not in a live mode. But as I said, this is not what I liked. I did not like that it took this much of time, even on this low-end laptop. So what should I do? I should build a native image. So if I go back to this particular presentations which we were referring to build native image, this is the command which you can use to build a native image. So I am running on a Linux laptop. So current native image which I will be, if I build with this particular command, it will be building with as per my laptop, which is AMD A9 2-core processor. So but if you want to build, because we are in a container world, right? So you want to deploy it in a Kubernetes environment with Dockers and so many things. So if you want to build a native as per the Docker image that you have, you can actually add an extra command, that is -d native image.docker build equal to true. So if you go to code, you can see inside this there is a project folder called Docker. So it has two Docker files. One is Docker JVM and one is Docker file native. So this one will be building as a native image, and this one is a Docker native image. So there is a pre-configured Docker file which according to which it will start building. But building native on this particular one thing, which is not very super cool about building native image is time. So it takes a lot of time to build native image, and in this slow platform it takes around 10 to 20 minutes to build only a native image, and a Docker image will take even longer time. So that is not which I will be showing you right now, but I have a native image already built for this. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll stop this particular thing which we were running, but I had to show you that it does build a native image. So I'll just run this command, but I am not expecting it to finish in time. Okay, so this is what you can write. So maven package -p, because it has a native profile added, so it will do with this. And again I will skip the test. Not a good practice, telling you again, don't do that in production ever again. But this is just a test. Demos are meant to skip test at some time, right? So I'm skipping it. Okay, so this will build a native image for you. So this is what I'm trying. So if I do here, it will build a native image. But for native image, Graal VM should be set. So if I do this, it will fail because Graal VM is not set. So I have to set the Graal VM home, Graal home basically. So let's see. I forgot what was my path. Okay. History pipe Graal. Okay, so this was my path for Graal. So I'll just do that. Okay. It did not. Okay. Okay, so it did exported the Graal VM. I'll clear it, and then I'll ask it to build a native image for me. Maven package sp native, is that right? Yes, sp native. Then I'll have to add skip tests. Okay, so it will take a long time, to be very honest. But I want to show you something here, what Graal does, which is very difficult for any native image building, is that I don't expect that it will finish soon, but still what I want to show you is what Graal actually does. It will add its own argumentation, which is the toughest part of building a native image. What is the toughest part? To find which actual classes and which path you should actually go and put into your native image. So this is what it does. So if you see that it actually took this one and it is using this Graal version, and these many extra parameters that you would have to be doing yourself, this is been added now by Quarkus. So this particular argumentation has been decided by our Graal VM and along with Quarkus, and now this Graal VM will be building your native image based on this. And this is very tough if you want to write it yourself. So that's what I wanted to show you. So Quarkus will simplify the process of building native image. Native image, what do I mean by it? That it will actually keep building it until it actually builds, and that will take around 20 minutes. And we don't have that much time, right? So what I'll do, I'll go and I'll show you this native image of same thing which I already have. So I think it is inside this. Okay. Is it inside this? Yes. Okay, I hope there is a native image here. Okay, so hopefully I should have a native image. I don't think there's a native image in this particular one. So I think I have actually deleted that particular image. Since I have deleted that image, so let's wait for this particular to finish. So that we can actually see if it is working. Hopefully it will build a bit faster. I just hope so. Okay, so somehow it got finished. It took a long time actually, but anyway. So you can see here it is writing Quarkus argumentation and each and everything, but let's clear it first. Okay, so Quarkus built a native image for us. Native means executable binary for this system. It should be fast, right? There's no JVM involved now. So let me go and see what it has built. So whatever it has built, it will be in target folder. So let's see. Okay, so I have a runner. So this runner is the one which I was talking about. So this is the one which is your native image. So let's run it and see, is it fast enough to be called a native image? So once again, I'm running a AMD 9, 7th generation with 2 core Lenovo IDEA 110 laptop. I'm pretty sure your laptops will be faster than this, right? So let's see. Okay, so we have this runner ready. 1, 2, 3, and it started. So how much time it took here? It started 8, 16, 34, 06. 16, 34, 06. So, and 136 to 166, so 0.2 millisecond max or 3 millisecond. I'm not pretty sure. I mean, how 300 millisecond or whatever. I mean, it took a very less time, right? So is it working even? Oh, it said it took 0.0167 to start, and it is listening at port 8080. Is it telling the truth? Can a Java processor start this fast? Let's go and check it ourselves. Okay, so it is working. Isn't it nice that your Java application is working at such a speed? So remember, once you are getting a lot of traffic and you have to scale your applications, you require it to be blazing fast to scale up, right? Or you don't want and wait for time and ages so that your application gets started and so that your load can actually be well balanced. If there is something which takes this much minimum time to start, will it not be nice? So that is what Quarkus is about time, efficiency, and speed. So I have one command also. I will go back and see. I'll just open this. So this is for memory users that I'm currently having. So I'll go and run this here. So if you see there, I mean, there is nowhere you can see a Quarkus thing coming here, right? Into, I mean, the time, I mean, whoever is taking the time. So Chrome is taking time, other applications are taking time, and I'm in memory space, but nowhere it is Quarkus things. It is still not there. See, I'll do one more thing. I'll just add one more user so that you can believe that it is working. I'll add one more user and I will make it, I'll just add a new name. So these are my friends. So it got added. So Dipans is my friend. I know, I mean, birthdays are wrong, so I'm sorry to all of them, but it's demo, right? So we have now 3 people coming here and everything is working on Quarkus and hopefully it is fast. So what I'll do, I'll just kill this particular application which I had right now been running. And because there is a jar version also here, so I'll run with that jar. I'm running in a jar mode. So it started again, and how much time now it took on this system? User service stopped, so I wrote my code somewhere. Okay, but let's see that is it working or not with jar version. Again, so it is still working. I'm still getting responses, and even jar versions are fast. So I'll go once more and paste this. So now you see the Java process here, right? So there's a Java process of user service which is taking some memory at least. So and it was not there last time, right? So when we were running a native executable. So this is how Quarkus, and an introduction about Quarkus, which is I wanted to give today in today's talk. So I hope you like this, and this is all about today's talk. So if you want to find the entire whatever we discussed and everything, you can actually use this particular slide which I will be giving in the link down in the YouTube. And if you want to contact me, you can actually contact me. And for everything, I have a YouTube channel. You can actually subscribe there. There is an email which you can write me. You can also follow me on to Twitter and Facebook. And if you want to learn reactive Spring, do subscribe to my course. That is what I would love to answer your reactive things out there, or learn from you even. And even I would like to listen you about microservices in a Spring. You can go in with the bit.ly links which I am providing here, and actually you can take a Spring microservice course also. Thanks for listening. That was it from my side for today.